From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
And good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington. It's the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, his work to get you from A to B on time and safely. Let's find out what one Nevada leader is doing to strengthen and improve Nevada's transportation system. And he is my guest today, Nevada U.S. Congressman Cresent Hardy. And joining us today is our special guest, Mr. Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County. And thanks for being here, too.
It's great to be here.
Well, Congressman Hardy says it's time to stop kicking the can down the road. After 35 short-term spending fixes, he says we need to rest assured that we have a sure but reliable long-term transportation funding. So today on Eye on Washington, we're going to tell you how Nevada and the nation are one step closer to this goal. We'll tell you how Nevada learned of the congressman's role in negotiating the final details of the bill. And later in our program, we'll learn of the congressman's strong relationship with Mr. Gibson and other transportation leaders that he relies on to help meet Nevada's public transit needs. When government fails to provide a long-term road to success, it is our local communities that pay the price. That's what Congressman Hardy told the press in December when he helped hammer out the final details of the Fixing America's Surface Transportation, or FAST Act. The congressman serves as vice chair of the Highways and Transit Subcommittee and was the only member of Nevada's congressional delegation to work out the details between the House and Senate versions of the bill. His work as a conference committee member helped maintain numerous provisions in the bill that are helpful to Nevadans. Just a handful of his priorities were funding the important expansion of I-11, funding the bus facility improvement, removing barriers for municipalities to utilize tax-exempt bonds with water infrastructure projects, and a whole lot more. Now, Rudy Malfabon, who's the head of the Nevada Transportation Department, is applauding the Congressman's conference committee work. He told the press, quote, "The assurance of long-term federal transportation funding will enable NDOT and its transportation partners to improve safety, mobility, and enhance economic development for years to come." Now, Congressman, there are a lot of things you fought for on Nevada's behalf during those negotiations, but I'm guessing the one non-negotiable was the funding for that all-important expansion of I-11. Talk to us about that a little bit.
I-11 is huge for Nevada. I've said it before on this show, and I continue to say it. I-11 from Phoenix to Las Vegas is huge for our economic development. It's huge for growing business, and people don't understand that Phoenix, Arizona, and Las Vegas are the only two major cities in the nation that don't have a north-south connector to interstates. And those cities that are have connectors within them are the ones that are the most prosperous, industrious cities, and it's important to us to make sure we have that diversity and economic prowess for our state.
You know, when you ran for Congress, I recall that his three top priorities were jobs, jobs, and also jobs. And you know, the estimates say that the I-11 project will contribute $24 billion in economic impact, create 24,000 jobs, provide up to $39 billion in travel benefits. So kind of meets the whole job and helping the economy part of what you want to do as well.
And that's just for the addition of I-11 from Phoenix to Las Vegas has always been a goal for a long time. This I-11 going from Las Vegas to I-80 now towards Reno is it provides those economic benefits. So.
And that's what I wanted to bring in Mr. Gibson on this. I know that a big priority for you and the Washoe RTC is getting that northern expansion of I-11.
That's correct. We believe in Washoe County that it's time that we tie our state together with an interstate facility. We have a rapidly growing manufacturing and distribution economic sector. We need to be able to move the products and move the goods and services out of Reno, out of Sparks, to southern Nevada, and to points outward beyond there. There's a significant tie between, believe it or not, Reno and Phoenix. that connection down to Phoenix for Reno will be a very, very successful one. But I think the important point that I really want to focus on is I-11 and beyond Nevada. I-11 is exactly that, an interstate. It's time for us to begin the discussions with Oregon, California, Idaho, and let's tie the Intermountain West together, and let's build an economy that's really sound and safe for all of us throughout the Intermountain West, so that the next time we have a recession, we're going to have diversified businesses to fall back on so that we don't see high unemployment.
You know, as I was preparing for this show, you and I talked, and you said you wanted to make it very clear to our statewide audience that how much it meant to you and how grateful you were on behalf of the state's transportation agencies. That Congressman Hardy was the one Nevadan who had a seat on that conference committee. How important was that to Nevada?
Oh, that was absolutely critical. I mean, we wouldn't be in the position we are today without Congressman Hardy's participation in that conference committee. No one was there representing our interest except for Congressman Hardy, and I'm deeply grateful to him for doing that.
You know, I want to say quickly, Tina Quigley, your partner in the RTC Southern Nevada, you know, she's praising your work in the press. She said, if you look at a map at the U.S. highway system, the convergence of major highways is where you have some of the most thriving cities. Just one more example of how Congressman Hardy is a champion for Southern Nevada as well.
Well, I appreciate their comments, but I got to tell you, the knowledge and expertise that I get both from Northern and Southern RTCs is fantastic. Sure. They were here on the doorstep making sure that their issues were heard. I think our delegation come through, and I appreciate all their efforts because they're fighting for the North and the South to make sure these things get
Later
accomplished.
on in the show, we're going to talk about that partnership, but coming up next, when we return, why 6 years rather than continued short-term bills? We're going to talk about the importance of funding assurance when Eye on Washington returns, and that's just ahead.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, Las Vegas Sands Corporation, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, Jim Marsh Automotive, the Rogich Communications Group, and by Champion Chevrolet Reno.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Help Nevada Humane Society save the lives of orphan kittens by becoming a foster care volunteer. Over 2,000 kittens a year need temporary care.
These kittens need food and personal attention until they're old enough for adoption. Foster care is fun, rewarding, and truly saves lives.
I love fostering. I have fostered almost 50 kittens so far, and it is so rewarding.
If you can foster kittens for a few weeks, we can find them homes for life. To learn how you can become a foster care volunteer, call or visit Nevada Humane Society.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of my guest's transportation work here and in the state of Nevada. And my guests today are Nevada U.S. Congressman Cresent Hardy and our special guest, Mr. Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County. For someone like my guest, Mr. Gibson, it must be maddening to try to do a master plan for the transportation needs facing all of Washoe County based on a single year or even shorter funding bill. Well, that's one reason he was so relieved to know Nevada would have strong representation on the conference committee working out those final FAST Act details. As Vice Chair of the Highways and Transit Subcommittee of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, Congressman Hardy works closely with Mr. Gibson and other transportation transportation leaders to stay constantly aware of every public transit need in the state. And he says his own background in transportation-related business taught him the importance of knowing your long-term budget. And Congressman, here's what you said last year. You said, as a former contractor who has built roads and bridges, I understand how uncertainty can derail the ability to plan and design effective projects. America's highway system cannot operate on short-term fixes or stopgap bills. So that's probably a big reason you said enough with these, 35, 37 short-term funding we've had. People like Mr. Gibson can't plan anything.
The FAST Act, it was important to me to make sure that we had some sort of long-term funding. The way we went about it was kind of in a different way than I would like to go, but it provides certainty for the future. The thing I like about the FAST Act, now we need to find a long-term solution, not for 5 years, but maybe 10 or 15 years down the road, that works for this country. Infrastructure is important to economies, it's important to our national security, and that's why it's important. You can't plan 1 year at a time on these type of projects because it takes NEPA dollars to be able to go through the environmental side. Then you have to do the planning, and people cannot afford to pay for planning that they're uncertain about.
Tell us what, Mr. Gibson, tell us what uncertainty does to you. Let's say this road needs repairs, or this huge project needs to be started here, et cetera, and yet you don't even know what you're going to have today, tomorrow, or when decisions are going to be made here on the Hill. Uncertainty
translates into a simple concept: expense. The more uncertainty there is, the longer it takes to do a project and the more money it's going to cost the taxpayers in the long run. What the FAST Act will provide for us in northern Nevada, especially at the I-80, I-580 interchange, which I call the tip of the spear of the San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento economy. That's the beginning and ending point for all goods and services that move out of that area. We now have the certainty to begin the planning, design, and development of improvements to that interchange, and we'll know going through that process that we can be assured of funding to get that project moving forward. And that, to me, is what's really advantageous of the FAST Act and what I think Congressman Hardy's done such a great job in helping us build. And that's for throughout the state. Congressman Hardy's absolutely correct. The National Environmental Policy Act can bring tremendous challenges, and being able to know that you can get through those with the long-term funding available to deal with contingencies and risk is just an absolute necessity for us to build the type of infrastructure I think Nevadans are looking for.
Congressman, it was really important to you, and you were mapping out when you got here and deciding which committees to serve on. You really wanted to serve on transportation and infrastructure, but it was really important for you to get on that House Highway and Infrastructure Committee as well. Why did you fight so hard for that versus other committees you could have served on?
In my freshman orientation, Trey Gowdy actually made one of the best comments that to us freshmen that I've heard going through that process. He made the statement, he says, guys, go where you have your expertise. Provide that knowledge and expertise to help strengthen us people that maybe don't know certain aspects of other expertise. So it helps strengthen the Congress itself, so that's where I went. Transportation infrastructure has been my life. I served for almost 14 years in the Executive Advisory Committee with RTC and on the Commission for those years also. So I have an understanding of working with Lee since the 80s, actually. So we've been around each other back when he was in the South. So.
Wow. How did you get on the conference committee? Again, I want to say you're the only Nevada member who got on the committee.
It sounds arrogant to say, but it was a really neat comment by the chairman to me. I asked him when I was put on as a freshman as vice chairman of Highway and Transit, am I offending somebody by being there? And he made the comment to me. He says, I don't think there's anybody on the Hill that has more expertise in transportation because that's what I've done my whole life. And so that was a neat comment for the chairman to say that for me.
I bet that meant a lot to you as well, knowing that he had a background in building, construction, knew a lot about transportation, had served on the RTC, with you. So when you heard he was on the conference committee, did you think about that background?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't have thought of anybody better than Congressman Hardy Cresent to sit on that, because he brings that perspective. And I want to give him credit for not just bringing a construction perspective, but RTCs are the metropolitan planning organizations. He brings that long-term planning viewpoint necessary for us to look at all modes and match the modes to needs and funding and deliver projects.
So. Right. And when we return, The federal-state partnership, why a close and coordinated effort between our delegation and state transportation leaders matters. That's just ahead. Stay with us.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong. A place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of top transportation issues and work on the Hill to fund, improve, maintain, and strengthen Nevada's public transit system. We've been visiting today with Nevada U.S. Congressman Cresent Hardy, Mr. Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the RTC of Washoe County. And joining us now is Mr. Bob Lucy, a RTC board member and Washoe County Commissioner. And thanks for joining the discussion today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Well, when Mr. Gibson addresses his board of directors about current pending and needed transportation projects, he often comes to those meetings after having met with a delegation member right here in D.C. Now, those visits or phone calls sometimes are the good news, that funding he's hopeful about or projects needing congressional backings or endorsements are supported. Other times, like now, he's here meeting with members or senators with or without a board member, like Mr. Lucy here. The RTC, of course, is your master planner for highways, byways, bike paths, walking paths, bus schedules, and other public transit, and a whole lot more. As a board member, Mr. Lucy's involved with that, but as a commissioner, he additionally gives extra weight to how transportation decisions affect the area economy, jobs, and other issues of top importance to Northern Nevadans. Mr. Gibson's master plan is to take into account many things: your needs, crumbling or outdated infrastructure that must be improved, county growth that often means new neighborhoods not currently served by adequate roads, buses, and all the other modes of transportation that take us from work to home, to school, to appointments and other destinations. So, Congressman, so much of this about funding is, it's about federal funding. And so I want to emphasize the partnership aspect of this segment. We think about you here in Washington, in committees and this and that, but you also have such a tight link to the state, not, to your constituents back home and to the state of Nevada in general. Tell us about the important partnerships between you and Mr. Gibson, Mr. Lucy, and others.
Through our state alone, with the growth and the prosperity we had previously back in the early 2000s. There was challenges moving forward. We're continuing to try to fix those challenges, but we still have progress going on within the state, and we need to make sure we help fit those issues together between the RTCs, north and south, and those people that are closest to it are your county commissioners or your city council members that are on that board, and they help direct us in the challenges that they're having, which help us make sure that we stand up and fight for those issues that are important. I'll give you one aspect. The Tahoe bill that went through, the clean water side, I forget the name of it, but it was one of those issues that was very important to our state and California, to make sure that those drainage issues are worked with the highway bill to where they can make sure that water stays clean. That's an issue that most people wouldn't understand, and through those efforts of being on the conference committee, we were successful in getting that financial help also.
Excellent. Mr. Lucia, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
You know, this show's, we're looking mostly at transportation, of course, but you know, as a county commissioner, I saw online that when you sought office for that one of the top reasons was for turning around unemployment and focusing on things that boost the economy. How does transportation play a major role in boosting the economy of the state?
Well, transportation in Washoe County is integral. We have the two major thoroughfares that comes in, obviously 80 and 395. And as we keep welcoming new businesses to Northern Nevada, such as Tesla, Switch, and some of the bigger business, it's absolutely important for us to make sure that those connections are available for not only the employees of these companies, but just transit in general for the product to get in and out of the, and we work so closely with our delegation back here, and we're very lucky that Congressman Hardy has been so easily accessible for us to share with them our issues that we have going forward and the needs that we have looking into the future.
So it's very important to the county in general, isn't it, to be connected with someone like Congressman Hardy?
Absolutely, and you can't stress the importance of being able to have that connection with your delegation, because right now, as we grow within Washoe County, we probably need the federal government and assistance more than ever before as we move through some of these new processes.
You know, Mr. Gibson, you're here a good 3, 4, 5 times a year just on my show, and I know that you're here several times otherwise meeting with the senators and congresspersons here. And many times on the program, you've emphasized the importance of that state-federal partnership, haven't you?
I have, and I think it's important to remember it's not just the state-federal partnership, it's the local government-federal partnership. And I like to, and we all kind of sort of joke amongst ourselves, once you cross into the Beltway, it doesn't matter what part of Nevada you come from, whether it's Clark County, Washoe County, or Elko, you are in a world where we as a state need to remain unified and present unified positions, because back here, you know, we are literally a small fish in a big pond, and we want to keep our school of small fish together so we have that unified voice. It's important for us to remember there's a big piece of the federal process we should never ignore, and that's the regulatory process. Oftentimes I'm back here to deal with the U.S. Department of Transportation, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, or some oversight agency with respect to the laws and rules that guide the transportation development process. And we should remember that those rules are always a cost we bear, and those rules are something we need to understand in order to create designs and delivery mechanisms that are going to work for our taxpayers back home.
And tell us more again about how when you come to Washington, D.C., how those meetings here help you achieve those goals.
I'll give you a classic one. We were here talking to Congress about difficulties we were having with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in building the Southeast Connector. The Southeast Connector for Washoe County is our version of the Beltway in southern Nevada, a $300 million investment. We were facing roadblocks with the Army Corps of Engineers. We were able to meet with oversight committee members. We were able to meet with key headquarters staff and move that permit process forward so that we could get to a point where we're now employing over 300 people building the Southeast Connector.
Excellent. We're going to pick it up on the other side of this when we return. A look at the road ahead. What big projects are in the works at the RTC and how do they affect you? That's coming up.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, And we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Merrily Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Merrily talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Merrily Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
It's already rented.
If you believe you've been discriminated against in housing because of your race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, or disability, call HUD or visit hud.gov/fairhousing. Fair housing is your right. Use it.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
We're back with our closing segment of Eye on Washington. It's our show on federal transportation news that Nevadans care most about, what's being done here on the Hill to help you get around in the safest, quickest manner. And my guests today have been Congressman Cresent Hardy, RTC Washoe Executive Director Lee Gibson, and the Washoe County Commissioner Bob Lucy. And Mr. Lucy, we are almost out of time here, and we discussed at the break. We're going to throw the project thing over to you.
Okay.
Why don't you update us on what's happening and some exciting projects in the works for the RTC?
Well, Mr. Gibson had mentioned that we're currently in the process with Southeast Connector, but we've got some great projects that we're looking forward to. And the big ones that we're looking at is our interchange, our spaghetti bowl for I-80 and 395. And we feel it is probably the biggest project that we have going forward to get some better access and flow through our interchange.
What's it going to mean for the Northern Nevada economy?
It's going to be huge. I mean, with all of the new industrial and commercial buildings we have going into in all facets, especially with TRIC, it'll help the flow of traffic through that and really reduce some of the accidents that we see quite consistently there.
Sounds great. Congressman, as we close out today's show, any transportation priorities of yours coming up in this Congress?
My priorities are whatever the RTC and the state's priorities are. So,
do you second that, sir?
I second that.
All right. Thanks for being here today. And that does it for this week's Eye on Washington. We hope you'll join us next time as we discuss more important federal matters and their impact on you in Nevada. You can visit joycecommunications.com or our Facebook page for more news from the Hill that impacts you in Nevada. If you missed any shows, catch it on YouTube, on our YouTube page. And thanks for joining us today on Eye on Washington. I'm Merrily Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a great day today.